Hi, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of the Daryl and Buu Show for the week of May 4th. How's it going, Boo? How did the weekend go?
Good, thanks. Got out to do a couple of things this weekend. So I swapped over my winter tires over to my summers, and that was interesting because it wasn't the greatest weather this weekend. So I was at Cal Tire. The waiting room was closed, sat outside. I'll throw a picture up here. Basically just sat out in the rain until my car was done. Also got out for a walk along the Pitt River, which is the first time I've actually done that. There's lots of people that are doing things for the first time now that they're in quarantine and discovering things. And one thing we discovered was a nice walk. How about yourself?
Yeah, it was the first time we actually got out and did some social distance visiting with some friends. We've got some friends of ours who have a beautiful big backyard with a fire pit in the middle, a gas fire pit. So I got out and caught up with them in a socially distant way. So that was fun.
Nice, right
And
on.
then I think we had good intentions of getting out for a run yesterday. We actually had a bit of a hailstorm in the middle of the day, so we ended up not doing that. So. Yeah, otherwise it was a nice weekend. A few things done around the house. We've got the draw for this week's contest. As a reminder, anybody who subscribes to the channel gets entered into a draw for a $50 gift card for Amazon. So this will be the second week in a row that we run it. We're keeping kind of a running tally with all the folks who registered. So thank you to everyone who has registered. Our subscription channel list keeps on growing, so it's great to see. Anyways, without further ado, this week's winner is Vince Bennett. Not sure if you can guys see that.
All
Congratulations,
right.
Vince. Yeah.
Congrats, Vince. So otherwise, we will cut over to speaking with Ryan McElGUNN, who is our local Shape rep, who's a new coworker of myself and Daryl's as of earlier this year, and we had a chance to catch up with him.
Okay, our guest this week, we are fortunate to have Ryan McElgun, one of our newest members to our local team, join us on the Buu and Daryl show this week. So welcome, Ryan.
Hi, Daryl. Hi, Boo. Thanks for having me.
So Ryan is our Shape security specialist. Ryan, I'll let you talk a little bit about what that role entails and a little bit about yourself.
Shape was acquired by F5 just at the beginning of this year. And so it's been exciting for us to get working with you guys on the team. So it's been pretty hectic since we started. But the genesis of Shape is an interesting story. And we've been working in the automation, robots versus human space for some time now. And it's been really cool to see how quickly working with the F5 team, we've been able to tie into your products and just how much interest there is in the market in general. It's an interesting journey for me to get here. Prior to being with Shape, I was with a startup for a year called Cobalt, where we were really trying to focus in on solving security problems for sort of the smaller market organizations, and had some really good early success with that, and it was fun. But my interest in Shape was just that it was so focused on an emerging space. It was really hard to say no. And I've been in security for many, many years. So I was I started my time off at Sophos way back in the day, and then spent just about a decade with cybersecurity team at TELUS, working both with network-based customers and then standalone security customers. So security's been my world for a long time.
Yeah, and both Boo and I have had a good working history with Ryan in previous roles. So absolutely delighted to have him part of our team. And that said, anybody who joins a weekly update does not get out unscathed. So we are going to run you through the gauntlet of questions. We will set the timer. So as always, the goal here is to get through as many questions. We've got the same 20 questions and get through as many as you can in the 5-minute time period. So,
all right,
Ryan, what was your first computer?
Apple IIe.
Yes.
Well, still sitting in my parents' basement.
Thanks. All right. Tell us about your first job.
First job was working at a clothing store in Edmonton. I was born and raised in Edmonton, and I got a job through a friend. Friend's father owned a clothing store there, so I was working at West Edmonton Mall, selling clothes, and it was a fun time. It was a little upscale clothing store, so occasionally we get some occupiers and stuff coming through, and that was more my interest, but it was a good job nonetheless for about $9 an hour.
Yeah, we can see your Ryan Smith jersey in the background there, so maybe he was one of your customers.
Absolutely, go Oilers.
Okay, next question. Name your favorite spot in BC, or it could be Alberta if you're an Alberta guy originally.
No, certainly it's BC, and there's two. Probably my favorite's Whistler. I love to ski, so in the winter it would be Whistler. In the summer, it's kind of a toss-up between Osoyoos. I love to go on the lake in Osoyoos, and then I have a really good friend that we spend a lot of time with in the summer. He's got a place up in Saginaw Lake up on the Sunshine Coast. So either way, it's on the back of a boat with a surfboard or a wakeboard.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
Okay, name something you've done in quarantine that you wouldn't have done otherwise.
This one's it hasn't happened yet, but we started the process. So we actually bought a puppy. So my daughter wore us down, and we thought just because we're all here and there's nowhere to go, now's the time. So we've got a deposit in on a puppy that'll be born in about 10 days. She's going to be a golden doodle. So she'll be here in early July.
Well, bring your puppy onto the show.
Yeah, totally.
Next week's guest.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, name something you're doing to stay sane while at home.
Cleaning. We've been doing a lot of organizing and cleaning at the house. There's time, right? So I would say that's the thing that we're doing to try and just make pass a little bit of the time that you usually would be out doing whatever outside or with friends. So
good. Okay, so if you were sent on exile and you had only one dish to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Tacos.
Tacos, nice one. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Is that Corona included?
Yeah. Yeah, the real Corona though.
Yeah.
Next question. Do you believe in luck?
Yeah, I think you earn it though. I think if you spend enough time doing the right things in your right places, then it will come to you. But yeah, I do.
Fair enough. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Kind of going between. Right now, I'm a bit of a night owl, but I think when you've got more of the day-to-day activities with kids and stuff, I tend to be a bit more of a morning person. So I'm definitely going the wrong direction, at least according to my wife.
Yeah. Okay. What's one thing you've bought in the last little while, could be the last few months, has made a big impact in your life?
Well, puppy aside,
Yeah.
Gee, that's a good one. I'm not sure. I'll have to.
I think we
can you come back to me on the questions?
Yep. That's an acceptable answer as a puppy. It's going to impact your life in a big way.
If that's it, that's the one for sure.
Yeah. What's your definition of success?
Well, I think two things. One is getting up and going and just not being in love with what you do. And you're going to be successful if that's the case. And I think always just that, you feel successful when you can reward yourself with the things that you want, or that you have sort of set your goals out for it. So, and it doesn't have to be, it can be big things or little things, but to me, it's always about I worked hard to get where I am, and therefore I get to have the things I want.
Yeah, well put. Leads into the next question. I know you've been in security for quite a number of years. Who or what inspired you to get into your present career?
I worked with some friends who started in the technology space, and it just was, especially in BC at the time, there was a lot of really cool technology companies around, and it seemed like everybody who was getting into it was having these really awesome careers and flying all over the place and doing stuff. And I was interested in getting out and seeing the world, and you certainly weren't going to do that. Before I was in technology, my first business job was as a recruiter, and that was pretty much in the office day job, and I just needed something more dynamic. So I took a role at Sophos to get me out and about in technology. And as soon as I got into it, you sort of learn that it's the ever-changing, always dynamic world, and it's tons of fun. So I've been in it now for 20 years.
Any podcasts you're listening to right now?
Yeah, I'm a hockey guy, so I'm listening to the Ray and Dregs podcast at the moment. The guys off of TSN, so that's the main one I listen to.
Yep, I listen to that one too. It's good. What's something you've splurged on besides your puppy in the last few months?
Well, we just bought a giant set of patio furniture for the backyard. So, and the outcome of that is I'm building a giant box fort in our basement for my daughter. Her and I started off a big engineering project to put all the boxes together to give her a house. So.
All right. Okay. Nice.
That is time.
All right. Well done, Ryan.
Thanks.
Now, I want to give you a little bit of an opportunity to talk a little bit about what your specialty is, Shape Security.
So the focus at Shape, I think there's three areas that we sort of look in on as a company. First of all, we start with just basically looking at automation or robots versus humans. And we want to make sure that for all of our customers that we can get rid of the automated traffic that's trying to cause problems to your environment. And we really just want to get rid of that traffic and then focus in on the humans. So once you've got that human traffic identified, the next thing that we do is move down the line and we want to look for the bad actors or the bad humans. So the first product that we use is Shape Enterprise Defense. That looks after all the automation. Second set of products that we use is called Safe by Shape, and it's focused in on making sure that anybody who is a human isn't committing any type of fraud or any type of malicious activity inside of your environment. And then finally, once we've gotten rid of the robots and the bad people, then we can turn some attention towards the good humans. And so we are having a lot of success with our newest product called Shape Recognize. And the idea there is to be able to look at the folks that you do business with on a regular basis that you trust and give them a better user experience and remove all the little bumps in the road that you would put in front of them for authenticating or picking out stop signs or doing whatever it is that you want to do just to make sure that they're not a robot. We want them to be able to jump right in and transact with you or interact with your products and services as fast as possible. Remove the friction. So we want that user experience to be as fast as possible.
Yeah, so it's really about number one, security and fraud prevention, but it's also very much about improving the overall performance of a customer's application and that user experience from start to finish, right?
That is. So it's been a good ride so far with lots to do. So
fantastic.
All right, so that was a good chat that we had with Ryan. Otherwise, this week we got 2 booze hours going on. So we have one on Wednesday, and that will be an interesting one. That's a booze hour cloud edition, and I have on John Calalang, and he's going to be talking about the 3 automation tools that you should be learning in 2020. John's a wealth of knowledge. He knows all the tools. He knows what's really relevant in the market right now. So I think we'll spend a good amount of time just talking through what people should know, because I know that everybody right now under quarantine, some folks are looking for things to enhance their skill set, and hopefully those 3 tools that we can share are ones that you should be looking at this year. And otherwise, on Thursday, I'll have a Booze Hour Community Edition, and I'll actually have on the owner of my gym, Jeffrey Hajner, and we'll be talking through ways people are staying fit and staying in good health and eating nutritious foods during quarantine as well. So I think that's going to be really relevant for everybody who's not able to get to their gym physically right now, and also people who are prone to indulging during times like this, hopefully ways that we can all get on track from a health perspective. Yeah, and then otherwise, we have what we've talked about last week is our guitar challenge. So for the next 8 weeks, it was identified that myself and Daryl have guitars that are sitting in our office that don't get used. So we'll put those to use for the next 8 weeks. We've got some video lessons from my father-in-law, Bob Oldfield, and he's put together the first lesson so far. He's got 5 minutes. Obviously, it's 5 minutes worth of lessons, but it's going to depend on yourself actually exercising those lessons for over the next week and then subsequent weeks as well. Myself and Daryl are going to pick out songs that we want to play at the end of these 8 weeks, and then we'll just go through the lessons and hopefully get to the point where we can actually have a bit of a recital at the end of this. So look for that link. And otherwise, we will head over into our updates from here. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next week. Hey everybody, the weather is a little bit unpredictable outside today, so I thought I'd set up the camera inside my office and we'll do the weekly updates from here. So this week I've got 2 live streams happening again. We have one on Wednesday at 10 a.m. and that's with John Calalang. Many of you have actually met John Calalang before. He's come up to Vancouver a couple times, and one of the times was actually to present at the local user group. So John is just a wealth of knowledge, and we're going to go over the top 3 automation tools that you should be learning in 2020 if you haven't already. Another live stream that I have is coming up on this Thursday at 3:30 in the afternoon. That's a community edition version of Booze Hour, and that's going to be with Jeffrey Hajner. Now, Jeffrey is the owner of the gym that I go to. I thought it'd be really really appropriate for us to talk through staying fit during quarantine, nutrition during quarantine, and we can also just talk about how he's refactored his business during these times as well. And besides that, Jeff is just a really great guy. He's got a lot of cool insights on things like competitive athletics and being former US military. And he was formerly a corporate finance guy who kind of left everything, moved into Canada and opened this gym. So really interesting story that he has that we can talk about. I've included a DevCentral article written by one of my colleagues, Jeff Giroux. He goes over using cloud templates to do your upgrades inside of public cloud. So he's got one for Azure, AWS, and GCP. Really cool how-to articles, so I think everybody that's deployed into public cloud will find that useful. This week we have one release of Big IP TMOS, that's 14.124, and so you want to check that out. I know there's a couple bug fixes that folks have been waiting for included on that one. A couple GitHub repos that I've included in the links as well is going to be around BigIQ 7.1. There's a repo for BigIQ 7.1 Quickstart in public cloud. So it has the templates for spinning this up really quickly. This is great for testing it out. And there's another repo for onboarding BigIQ 7.1 using a Docker container and Ansible. And that one makes the deployment really, really quick. It takes care of a lot of the stuff up to the point where you're actually configuring the BigIQ itself. So you want to check that out if you want a speedy deployment of BigIQ. Now this article is a couple of years old now, but it's on creating custom HTTP monitors, which is a question that I've just been recently asked. It goes over creating those monitors using Python, Postman, and curl. So you want to check that out. With the transition of F5 Agility to be a virtual event, we have far exceeded any of the registration projections that we've had previously. The event is actually running next week. Please go ahead and register for that. We'll be running some keynotes. We're going to deliver a lot of really impactful information during the couple days of F5 Agility this year. Again, the labs will actually take place in June, so look out for that as well. A 1.0 version of fast templates has come out. This is F5 Application Services templates, and these are going to be the evolution of what was previously IAP templates. So this is taking on a new architecture. IAPS and application templating will actually move to this type of architecture going forward. So you want to check out the 1.0 version of that because it's something to get used to going forward. Last week I mentioned Shape webinar with Dan Woods, former FBI agent. The replay for that is now available, so I've included the link for that. Rodrigo Albuquerque, who was on last week's DevCentral live stream and where he talked about SSL troubleshooting, he actually wrote an article on why Kubernetes needs more application visibility and protection. So you want to check out that article. And I've included a Netflix article on how they deployed TLS 1.3 and saw increased performance gains on streaming just from deploying that. So that's all the updates that I have for you this week. Stay safe, check out the live streams that I have this week, and otherwise I'll see you next week. Bye.